Securities, financial planning, and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA, SIPC. Workman and Associates and LPL Financial do not provide tax and/or legal advice or services. Please consult your tax and/or legal advisor regarding your specific situation.
Welcome to Money Talks. This is Dave Workman, and this podcast is brought to you by Workman Associates. Visit workmanassociates.com for information about the investment services, insurance, and financial planning we offer. Today's guest is me, and what I'm going to talk about is financial planning for the next decade. You know, as I was sitting here thinking about what to talk about for January 2020 on this beautiful December morning, I thought about 20 short years ago when we were all worried about planes that would fall from the sky, bank accounts that would be zeroed out, and society as we know it would cease because computers would not recognize the new millennium. 20 years went by pretty fast, didn't it? Well, as we approach the beginning of a new year/decade, I thought about your financial goals and how my office can help. Now, if you've been a client of mine for any amount of time, you may have heard me talk about the Titanic. And I'll generally ask people, have you ever wasted 3 hours of your life watching the Titanic? And about 80% of the people raise their hand. And then I'll ask, have you ever wasted 6 hours of your life watching it twice? And about half of those folks will raise their hand again. But there's a scene in the Titanic where there's two guys on a cold night up in the, I guess it's called the crow's nest. And they're looking around, and all of a sudden they see it. Iceberg. And they yell out, "Iceberg!" And the individual who's driving the boat turns the wheel as hard as he can, and then the other order is to shift engines, and they shift engines as hard as they can, and you see the screws on the back of the ship turning the opposite way, and you see the ship slowly turning. But inevitably, as we all know, it hits the iceberg, causing irreparable damage and sinking. And I've likened financial planning somewhat to being up in that crow's nest. And instead of waiting until the last minute when we see iceberg, which I sometimes refer to as retirement, if you're 5, 10, 3, even 3 years away from there, and you turn that wheel, you can miss that iceberg for miles and miles and miles. And that takes planning. Because once you see retirement, it's generally too late to do a lot about it. But what I wanted to talk about were some of the things that we can do about your financial planning here at the office. So, question 1, do you need a financial plan to help with cash flow, debt reduction, saving for college, and or retirement? Well, we have a one-page sheet to assist you. Now, one page may seem too simple, but my philosophy is if you can't understand it, you won't implement it. Do you need to better understand costs in retirement, Social Security, Medicare? Well, we also have software that can assist you in all those different areas. And if you don't think that one-page financial plan would be enough, we use what's called Right Capital that gives you a very detailed explanation about what may happen in the future and how you can help provide for yourself and or your family. Need to protect yourself against an untimely disability, death, or long-term care costs? Well, we have multiple insurance companies at our disposal to find you the most efficient coverage for your needs. And I'll talk to folks about this. How much insurance do you have? And they'll usually say a nice round number, $500,000 or $100,000. And I can tell immediately that they've often been times been talking to a kind of a captive insurance agent, I like to call it, someone that works for just one company. And that number is just a number that has no relevancy as to how much insurance they really need. Let us go through the mathematics of how much insurance you need and how we can make it cost effective for you. Finally, help with estate planning. The firm I work with, LPL, has an estate planning department and a trust company, and I can recommend to you many excellent attorneys in this field. It is my hope that you'll take this opportunity to call and schedule an office appointment, phone appointment, or Zoom appointment to discuss your questions and goals as we head into 2020. And P.S., Do you remember the abbreviation given to the year 2000? How about Y2K? This has been Dave Workman, and this podcast has been brought to you by Workman Associates. Visit workmanassociates.com for information about investment services, insurance, and financial planning we offer.